Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition and my current campaign. So I just kind of want to give you a state of play. Now, why is it important for me to give you a state of play on my Dungeons & Dragons campaign? Well, I'm a D&D commentator, right? And I'll tell you right now, if there's ever a day where I have spent 6 months without playing a single D&D game, you should stop listening to me. And the reason I say this is I can't believe actually there is a D&D commentator. I still listen to his stuff, so I'm not taking my own advice here, I guess, on this one. But he doesn't play Dungeons and Dragons, and honestly, yeah. And I will say this: I watch this person's stuff to witness what's happening with this person as a person. I'm no longer listening to them. So my point is, you should not listen to D&D commentators who don't play D&D. And guess what? There are definitely some of them. Actually, I'll call her out right now. OGGM. He talks about Dungeons and Dragons all the time and says flat out he does not play. Right? So why do I listen to OGGM? Boy, he's got a show, man. He has opinions on everything. I think he's a really interesting guy. But also he's just got a lot going on with his own person. Right, and it's just oozes through every video. So you're kind of like getting information about D&D. He does do news coverage. He covers D&D at a good coverage level. I listen to a lot of people who do good coverage levels. Right, they talk about everything that happens. So he talks about what's happening now in Dungeons and Dragons, and I love that. Right, but I don't take any advice I like his coverage of D&D news. And the fact that he doesn't play D&D does not stop him from accurately reporting news that's happening about D&D. But I would never, ever, ever take an ounce of advice from OGGM on how to play, right? And so I'm saying now, I play Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition. And I'll tell you right now, be very, very careful of taking advice about a thing from people who don't do the thing, and it happens way more than you would expect. I actually think it's a plague on role-playing games overall, that there's just a whole bunch of people who love to talk about role-playing games more than they play role-playing games. I am not one of those people, and I strain to make sure I never become one, right? And so my current game, I just wanted to share the structure with you. It's really unique. So what we're doing right now is me and I brought in one friend and I'm playing with someone who's not my friend. I don't know them, right? Which is part of what I'm saying. If you're going to build a great game, don't just play with your friends, right? Play with the best players you can find. And this guy was brought in because one of my friends trusts them and says he's a good GM, right? So we're up to 3 players right now, and we're going into session 3 this week. And it's a brand new D&D campaign. We started in Phandalin. We started literally using the map that comes out of the Essentials kit. And the structure is everyone who plays, you play a player character, and as a player, and because you have a player character, you are a player and you are a DM. And we shift the DM seat every single session. Right? Now, the reason why I did this was I realized we were running into a lot of problems with my gaming group, and the problems that we were running into with my gaming group were specifically the very real problem of we're all GMs, right? We're all game masters. So we're all running into problems because we're all game masters, but we have game masters sitting as players, right? And I'm like, we can't, so let's solve this problem, right? So I have a player character. So I was a dungeon master for first session, right? We now have, and then the person who played a player character in that session, he DM'd in the second session. And in the second session, he brought a new player who will be DMing in the third game, right? And now, and in our third game, we have a new player coming in, and then we're capping it there. I do expect I'm going to get some pressure from the rest of the participants to bring in more people. I really want to cap it here because we have 4 DMs at the table, and we are rotating the DM seat every single game. Right? Now, what we've said is that Loader is the standard. Anything that wouldn't logically fit within a Lord of the Rings Peter Jackson Hobbit movie or loader movie cannot be in the game. So, no laser guns, right? No fighter jets, right? The other thing is, we are expecting that when your player character is in the game and you are DMing, you get treasure last, and you do not shine, right? You are in the background, you do assists, and that's it. So that's the structure. It's working extremely well. We're bringing in players very, very quickly because I think this is going to be people want a DM, right? And I think there's a lot of groups like ours where every player at the table is a game master, is a dungeon master, right? So it's been going really well. I'm very proud of it. I think it's a good model, and I'm really excited with how it's going. I'll let you know how it goes going forward. If you have any advice for managing this beast of a play structure, I'd love to hear it in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.